I am absolutely committed to doing my part, more than my part. But Senator Sanders has to do his part.
We are going to continue to fight for every last vote until June 14th, and then we're going to take our fight into the convention.
Hillary Clinton calling on Bernie Sanders to help unify the Democratic Party, while Sanders says he's going to campaign aggressively in the final stretch all the way to June 7th. We're back now with the panel. Fox News has offered to host a Democratic debate in California. Bernie Sanders has said yes. I go to our social media question from Facebook. We asked, wouldn't it be to her advantage to accept? Andrew Land writes, quote, she says the nomination is already hers. Why would she risk the chance that she would let any truthful statements slip out during a debate? Robert Hernandez tells us on Twitter, no reason for Hillary to debate. Bernie is done. Why isn't she agreeing to this debate, Juan?
Well, Robert, especially to that second one that Bernie's done, you got a point. I don't see how Bernie can possibly claim the nomination at this point. Hillary Clinton's like within 90 delegates of outright winning. But here's the point. This is pay-per-view material. This is like a great matchup that would appeal to, guess what, Bernie Sanders supporters who are still kind of, you know, a little uneasy with Hillary, to independents, Republicans. So the general electorate, if she's looking toward going up against Donald Trump, what an opportunity for a large audience right before California. I think it's a winner for her. Again, you know, you think about Donald Trump and this tremendous media presence. This is an opportunity for Hillary to take advantage of the moment before she has to go against Trump.
Who do you think it plays to better, Michael, Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders? I mean, because if she trips with a week to go until California?
Right, and obviously she doesn't want to have a divisive debate with Bernie Sanders, but I agree with Juan, she should do it, and sometimes it's unfortunate when the shoe's on the other foot. In May of 2008, Hillary Clinton was saying, Barack Obama needs to agree to do a debate with me. She suggested maybe we should have a 90-minute Lincoln Douglas-style debate between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. That was when obviously Barack Obama was the front runner, so I think maybe Fox News could hold a 90-minute Lincoln Douglas debate between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton.
Wouldn't that be fun? Kirsten, what's going on with Bernie Sanders and Debbie Wasserman Schultz? He says he's going to support her opponent, Tim Canova, in the August 30th primary, and says if he becomes president, he'll do a Donald Trump and say, you're fired.
Yeah, well, this isn't really a surprise. He's been at odds with Debbie Wasserman Schultz pretty much since the beginning of this primary because he and his supporters have accused the DNC of picking sides, of setting up the debates in a way to favor Hillary Clinton, having them on weekends or holidays where nobody's going to watch the debates to try to minimize the exposure that Bernie Sanders gets.
Is she playing fair or not?
So, well, I don't think so. I've written a column criticizing her and criticizing the DNC for this, and the Bernie Sanders campaign has said, in particular, she's the problem, that they have found working with the DNC in general to be an okay experience, but she has clearly picked her horse and has been backing that horse and trying to pretend that she's sort of a, being a fair, arbiter of the situation, and she's not.
Yeah, Van Jones, Democratic activist, former White House Green Jobs czar, said that he's, quote, ashamed of Debbie Wasserman Schultz and wishes that Reince Priebus was running the DNC, Brit.
Well, it's an interesting contrast between the two of them, because there's been a lot of criticism of Priebus for being too susceptible to Trump and basically, helping to pave the way for him. I think Priebus has basically been neutral. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has not been neutral. She has clearly been for Hillary, although she insists publicly that she's neutral. And so Sanders, I think, has a legitimate gripe, perhaps. And of course, the delegate rules, which she's a symbol, I guess, certainly favor Hillary because of the superdelegate presence, which is so important in the Democratic race. So, my sense about it is that there's kind of a double standard here at work. Priebus gets criticized for doing what everybody wishes Debbie Wasserman Schultz was doing on the Democratic side.
Let's look back at what happened last Saturday in the Nevada convention, where Bernie Sanders supporters thought that they were being treated unfairly. They started throwing chairs. They were threatening the they were threatening the Democrat. They always threaten the Republican. They were threatening the Democratic Nevada chair. If this had been Trump supporters doing this, Juan, what would the narrative in the media have been?
Oh, well, it would have been, I think, even larger, but it's not to say that this was ignored. In fact, this has gotten a lot of attention.
It wasn't ignored, but I remember reading one article that says Bernie Sanders supporters, send a message to the Democratic Party.
Well, this is the heart and soul of the matter. I know Tad Devine, who's running Sanders' campaign, says he does not like the idea that people talk about the violence at the Nevada event so largely, and even the threats against the Democratic Party chair in Nevada as a result. But they did happen, and I think there's a sense among Democrats in large. And it's interesting to me, even on left-leaning Democrats, that Sanders at this point is stoking grievance and anger against the party. We heard Kirsten talking a moment ago about anger at W. Wasserman Schultz. Obviously, if you're trying to unify the Democrats in the way that you discussed the Republicans now trying to unify behind Trump, this is a big problem, and that's why at this moment you see left-leaning organizations and media outlets, Mother Jones and the like, suddenly saying, hey, maybe Bernie's taking this a little too far, and it's about Bernie and not about defeating Donald Trump.
But Michael, if this is being treated more like a family spat in the media at large, and if this was Donald Trump supporters who were doing it, don't you think we'd see articles about Donald Trump being dangerous and stoking violence and whatever else?
Oh, of course, and nobody's surprised by a double standard in the media, but what I think it shows is that the anti-incumbent, anti-establishment sense that you saw in the Republican primary is every bit as much there on the Democratic side. It's there amongst independents, and it's why Hillary Clinton is almost the last person on the face of the planet you would want to put forth in this environment. She's somebody whose entire professional career has been about enriching herself and her friends through her public service. You look what's going on the Clinton Foundation. We're in an anti-incumbent, anti-establishment moment, and you've basically found the most clearly establishment. A managing director at Goldman Sachs said that when she talks to us, she sounds like she's a managing director here at the company. You couldn't find a worse person for this moment than Hillary Clinton, and she's the one the Democrats are likely to put up.
So there's an alternative that's out there. Gary Johnson, former New Mexico governor, a recent Fox News poll, he polled 10%.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, 42 for Donald Trump, 39 for Hillary Clinton, 10%. He polls evenly, Kirsten, it seems, from both parties. Could he potentially be a player here?
Well, I mean, that is a surprise, but also if he's polling equally, then he's less of a threat. It's usually these third-party candidates become a problem when they start to poll from one party
You know, he would
over
have to
the
get
other.
15, I think, to get into the debates. That's when he becomes the player.
Yeah, but I want to say about this Bernie Sanders stuff, actually, some of this, I think it's been exaggerated, and well, I guess we're out of time, but
No, we're not. You got 30
I was
seconds.
saying, yeah, I mean, Snopes actually looked at it, and nobody threw any chairs, and in fact, somebody picked up a chair and put it down, and I think a lot of, actually, I think the media has been pretty hard on them and have exaggerated what has happened. I think that they were upset and they were angry, but nobody was in any danger. I mean, there was no actual violence.
Just a quick optics thing, you will look happy.
Don't push up, Anthony. Show it to me again. Oh my God.
I can't believe I gave the press the finger.
A new film detailing Anthony Weiner's failed run for mayor of New York City 3 years ago after a revival of the sexting scandal that forced him to resign from Congress. But the documentary also focuses on his wife, Huma Abedin, widely known as Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman. We're back now with the panel. Brit, why don't you start us off? Is this...
O tempora, o more, is one would say. And every time I hear about Anthony Weiner, who seemed to have faded from our national life, but is apparently going to be back again in this movie, I think of the Jay Leno comment years ago when Whitey Bulger, remember him, the Boston mob guy, was captured on the West Coast. Leno said he had thought that Whitey Bulger was Anthony Weiner's screen name.
Kirsten, could this possibly come back to bite the Clinton campaign, particularly since she maintains a close relationship with Huma Abedin?
I don't think so, because it's a personal issue. It's Uma's husband. I don't think people are holding her accountable for the behavior of her husband, and Hillary is so loyal to her. It's just impossible to see it harming her.
This thing, Michael, looks like a Hollywood comedy along the lines of Wag the Dog or Our Brand is Crisis. It looks like it could be a good movie.
It's really crazy, but I think it also shows a split in the Democrat Party. On the one hand, you have kind of the intellectual core of the Democrat Party, Elizabeth Warren, Bill de Blasio, people who are way to the left of the center of gravity of the United States. And then you have these other people who are just cults of personality. Anthony Weiner was a cult of personality. Yeah. Hillary Clinton's a cult of personality. Cory Booker, who's on Twitter. The intellectual core of the party is with the progressive left.
Any effect on the Clinton campaign?
Well, you got to remember the women's issue is large in this campaign between Trump and Clinton. Does this impact it? Apparently, it's a very good documentary. The question is, why did they agree to do it? But now that it's out, could it hurt Hillary Clinton with women?
Juan, thanks so much. Panel, that's all the time. Thanks for joining us today. Chris will be back next Sunday. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Fox News Sunday.